Hello and welcome to FPL Natty. Game week 5 is finally behind us and we have the quick turnaround of game week number 6 coming up. But before we do that, we need to look into my team and how my team did with the changes that I made. As you may know from my team selection video, I took a -4 hit because I needed to make some changes. I needed to bring some players in who I got rid of by mistake. Let's not talk about that. But yeah, it has been a decent week for me. Let me know what points you got down in the comments below. Subscribe, like this video if you are enjoying the content I give you. We're going to go through how my squad did, if there's any potential changes that I need to make for game week number 6. Overall, there was 24 goals that were scored across the two midweek games on Wednesday and Thursday and Tuesday. I could have got that completely wrong, to be honest. There was some hat tricks, there was some worldies, some tap-ins, a few own goals, but my team did all right. Okay, so yeah, let's get right into this video and we can assess what I did. So this was my team for game week number 5. I went with a 4-4-2 formation, and as we know, I brought back in Trent Alexander-Arnold for Reece James, who was injured, and I also brought in Pascal for Kulichevsky, who I believe for the price point wasn't doing too much in my team, so I thought I'd move some of that money around. So you want to know how I did? This is how I did. 76 points. As you can see right here, and my rank now is 3,163,753, which gives me a massive green arrow, which I'm really stoked and excited about. I was up in all of my mini leagues apart from one, which is my boys one, and yeah, the banter in there is just too much. They're cussing me because I'm creating this and they're still above me. But anyways, we won't talk about that. So yeah, I got a massive green arrow, which is fantastic. I'm up 17% and only 83 points off of the top 10k. So I'm not too far behind those that are flying high in the FPL leagues for the whole country, or the whole world basically. I think there are 10 million managers, which is the most record in FPL, which is great, that this is spreading so far and wide. So yeah, 76 points. I've got like 296 overall. I didn't do too bad. If you have a quick look over my team, there were some standouts which we're going to go through in a second, but in general, I'm definitely happy with that, and I hope to build on this from the future with the people that I brought in, but I know there's some changes that I have to make. So let's kick it off with Rayo, who had a 1-1 draw with Crystal Palace. Yeah, they let a goal in again, but to be honest, he's still getting me that extra points with the save points. I think he made about 5 saves or something like that. So it gave me that extra save point, which I'm pretty happy about, to be honest. He is a set and forget goalkeeper, and I got Ward on my bench, who isn't going to be coming in. Leicester are terrible, as I keep saying every video. So I'm definitely happy with having Raya in my squad, who's just going to keep returning. And up next, he has Leeds and Southampton, so I expect the same from him in terms of either giving me save points or giving me clean sheets, because those two games should be good games for Brentford to capitalize on. Also, Kyle Walker, yet again, Mr. Dependable when it comes to City's defense. 6 points as I predicted, with a clean sheet, demolishing Nottingham Forest 6-0. And only 5 goals have been scored against Manchester City at the moment. And up next, they have Aston Villa, which I am thinking is going to be another 6 points for Walker. I think Aston Villa haven't kept a clean sheet all season. So for me, I expect that same way to play out, to be honest. And I know I spoke about in my selection video for game week number 5 that Sergio Gomez coming in might mean that Walker gets benched or gets subbed, but it didn't happen to him. It happened to Cancelo. So I think that might be a pattern of things to come for Walker, where he plays a full 90 minutes as long as he's fit, and they didn't bring anyone in to take up his space. It's going to be on the other side where Cancelo plays, so I'm not too fussed about that. So Walker, yet again, 6 points was great for me, so he's going to stay in my squad for the next game. Let's talk about my Arsenal boys, starting with Saliba. 1 point, not great to be honest. He got his first yellow card, and as you can see with these highlights, there was a crazy goal by Douglas Luiz that meant the clean sheet disappeared from a corner. And actually, they tried to sign him yesterday, but they couldn't get him, to be honest. But I'm still keeping him for the next games that are coming up. He plays 90 minutes, and even though that it was a yellow card, I'm not too fussed about that. Martinelli, fantastic. He scored and got 3 bonus points. Could have got another one, to be honest. There was a great save that was done by Martinez. And now now Martinelli is the joint top among FPL managers for goal attempts, and he will definitely be in my squad against their next game, which is against Manchester United. Now with Saliba against Man United, I'm probably going to bench him because I've got faith in United's scoring, particularly how they've been winning like 3 games now, and I think they're going to turn it on again against Arsenal. I don't think Man United will win, but I believe that they will score. And talking about goal scorers, we have Gabriel Jesus, who's going to be in my squad against Man United as well. He scored against Villa after blanking against Fulham. But the thing is, I am glad I didn't captain him. There was quite a few people in the leagues that I'm in that captained him, and he only did return 6 points, which would have been 12 if he captained him. And there were better captain options that did a better job of returns this game week. So those are my Arsenal boys. They're going to stay in my squad. But as I said, Saliba will probably be on my bench for game week number 6. Moving on to Perisic. It was a 1-1 draw they got with West Ham. And in that game, he played really well. He was voted the man of the match. But that didn't get me any points in terms of FPL. He literally only got me 1 point. And it could have been 2 bonus points. It really could have been. But I think at the end of the game, he got booked for like swearing at the referee or something. So yeah, it just ended up being 1 point in the end. He did play 90 minutes, which is a bit of a concern because it most likely will mean that he's going to get rested against the 3 p.m. game they have on Saturday against Fulham. And Conte only made 1 sub, which was Richarlison, around like the 75th minute. So I think there will be a lot of changes against Fulham because he needs players to play in the Champions League, which they have next week as well. So this is what Conte said. In other situations, I prefer to keep the balance in that moment, and also because of the 2 days we have to play against Fulham, and for sure I will make rotations. My players know this very well, but they are ready, and we are ready to face this many games in a row in 2 or 3 days. So it basically means, so someone like Perisic, who does have some issues with his legs, his knees or calves or whatever, because he can't play so many games in a week. So he's either going to play for like 15 minutes at the end, or he's going to start and he's going to be rested. But I'm thinking he's going to not play and probably maybe come on for like 10 minutes at the end or something. So he's going to be on my bench. They do have City next, and after that they got Leicester. So yeah, he wasn't really going to be playing anyway against that team. Here we have Rodrigo. So I was really hopeful for this game that they played against Everton for him to give me returns, but he dislocated his shoulder in the first half with an injury with Pickford. But they did manage to pop it back in, but we don't know how long he's going to be out. It possibly will be after the international break, which is around game week number 8 or so, because he still needs to recover, physio, then get back into training as well. So this is what Jesse March had to say about it. When it pops out, it's about as good a case scenario as possible. That means it doesn't need surgery, and hopefully in 3 to 4 weeks it can calm down. Maybe it takes a little longer, maybe it's a little bit shorter, we will see. He feels good, he feels confident that it will only be he'll be ready fairly soon, so we're kind of targeting after the international break. So that basically means that Rodrigo needs to get out of my squad. Okay, so I need to bring in someone who is going to come straight in and be a first teamer in my squad. I do have a few options up my sleeve, which I will talk about in my game week 6 team selection video. But yeah, I think you need to look at options for Rodrigo. I did a YouTube short actually about this a few days ago, so check that out. Because at the end of the day, you need to replace these players that aren't going to be there for a few weeks because their price is going to fall. He had really strong ownership, so it makes sense that his price is going to plummet after this, to be honest. Up next is Pascal Gross. He didn't do too well in their 2-1 loss to Fulham at Craven Cottage. He was basically non-existent in that game. to be honest. And he does cost 5.9 million, so he's staying in my squad. 21% owned, still is low ownership, and he does have Leicester, Bournemouth, and Crystal Palace next. And with the fixtures that he's already played with 3 goals and 1 assist, I'm expecting him to turn up in those next fixtures. Leicester haven't been good. Bournemouth have Bournemouth have been terrible after, and even after sacking in their manager, they were crap before that. And Crystal Palace is also a game they can be competitive in, but Brighton are better than all 3 of those teams this season. I think they're like top 6 right now. They may not stay there, but I think with Pascal Gross playing further up the pitch, it's definitely going to be someone that I'm going to keep in my squad for these games. So 2 points this week, but I think he's going to be bringing more returns next week. Now let's discuss my Liverpool boys. We'll start with Salah. He got a brace of assists against Newcastle where they won 2-1, a last minute goal by Fabio Carvalho, I believe it was. So that annoyed me slightly because I tell you what, I do have Salah in my team, but a lot of my other friends captained him. So I was hoping that he wouldn't really do much because I captained someone else. But when he got 2 assists, I was like, because it meant that it brought his points total quite high once they doubled the captain points basically. So he got 10 points for me, which is fine. I'm like semi happy about it, to be honest. But it didn't give me that gap I needed to close up on some of my leagues. But Salah, he averages around 7 points per match for this season currently. That's within a 5-game span period. So I do expect that to either fluctuate around 7, maybe between 6 and 8 points per match by the season is done, which is very consistent. But we know that Salah is not only a streaky player, but he's just a very, very good player, and he always plays 90 minutes. But what I am happy about this season is that you're able to pick different options for captaincy. You got Gabriel Jesus, you have Haaland, you have Salah, who we've spoken about already. Some might even go for Sterling as differential as well. So it creates some interesting scores when it compares to last season, because whoever holds that captaincy gets double points basically. One thing we need to not be concerned about with Salah is 90 minutes. He always plays 90 minutes, and he's going to play 90 minutes in the next game, which is against Everton. Okay, so Everton is the Merseyside derby that Liverpool have, and I expect Salah to really sharpen that game. Everton are not good at all, and Salah loves scoring against Everton. He's going to turn up in the Merseyside derby. The atmosphere is going to be electric, so I expect him to score. I'm not selling him. I know that like almost 400,000 managers already have sold him, which I don't really understand. Don't do that. Just don't sell Salah. That's what I'll say. So yeah, keep him in your squad. In regards to Trent Alexander-Arnold, it was a bit disappointed defensively, purely because Liverpool yet again have let in a goal. As you can see by the highlights, it was Isak that scored the goal. There he is on the screen right now, and it was his debut, the £60 million man from Newcastle. I spoke about him in my ones to watch really. So that clean sheet was gone yet again, to be honest. But I brought back Trent because I took out James because James was injured, right? So I was thinking long term about that position. Obviously now James is like fine again. I'm not going to reverse this decision, but I might have to bring James back in, but we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, I brought him in for a hit because I missed out on the 17-point haul that he done last week. But at 17.5 million, it is quite a lot to have in my team for someone who I'm relying on purely for their attacking set pieces or assists. So I might need to look whether I may downgrade him to like a Virgil van Dijk or something like that. So I'll have a look, but I definitely think that a price drop is coming for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Last but not least, come on, let's talk about the one, the only Erling Haaland, who has paved the way for how it's done in the Premier League this season. He has been absolutely fantastic. My captain, what did he get? I think 17 points. Yeah, so double that, 34 points. Oh my gosh. And 3.7 million of you also captained him, which was great. Not many of my mini leagues did, which was also great. And at 11.9 million, his price just keeps going up. I think he's due for another price rise, so soon he will be 12 million. And he has catapulted himself right to the top of the FPL charts. I think he's got the most points right now, just after 5 game weeks, and I don't see that letting up at all. Can he sustain this? I think he can. possibly not a hat trick every week, but in terms of like goals or goal contributions or assists, I can see Erling Haaland continuing this rich vein of form, and that's purely because of the way City are playing right now. They are looking, all the midfielders around them, all the attacking players are looking to find him in the box, because that is where his goals are. His goals are within that penalty box, but most importantly within that 6-yard box. So I think he's a must own. If you don't have him already, why don't you have him in your team? I don't understand why he's not in your team. Take someone else out. I don't get how you do it. Bring Haaland in your team. He scores with 40% of the shots that he takes. 9 goals in 5 games. It just makes sense that you have him in your squad, to be honest. I know that a lot of you are worried about whether or not he'll be benched, but to be honest, he did come off after what, 68 minutes, I believe, at the weekend against Forest. So it might mean that he's rested enough to play against Aston Villa, who they have next. And we clearly saw that he can play with Julian Alvarez, who also scored like 2 goals as well. So it's up to you really, whether or not you're going to bench him or put him in your team. But to be honest, I'm going to put him in my team. It just makes sense to keep Haaland in my team because he's just a beast. Lastly, moving on to my subs, let's start with Ward. Leicester were beaten confidently yesterday by Manchester United. So he just basically got 2 points for turning up, and he's not going to be in my squad anytime soon. So he can just stay on the bench for now. When it comes to Ivan Toney, I was actually really worried about leaving him on my bench because I thought once the deadline passed, oh my gosh, he's going to do something against Palace. But luckily he didn't, because I still had him on my bench. And he got a yellow card as well, so no returns and a yellow card, which meant he just got the 1 point. I think he might stay on my bench for the next game. We'll see what happens with that one. I might bring him in depending on what formation I'm playing or whatever. Andreas, yet again, he got another assist, which came via a dunk own goal against Brighton, but it still was an assist, and he got a bonus point. But they do have Tottenham next, and is he going to be in my squad against Tottenham? The answer to that is no, so he can stay on my bench. And Nico Williams got a -1, and that's purely due to the fact of how many goals were scored against them by Manchester City. Obviously they were smashed, as I just spoke about, but he did catch the eye. He has some major key passes, including one big chance. So I think the next game they have against Bournemouth, he is going straight into my squad in defence, because I think that Nottingham Forest can do a number on Bournemouth. And hopefully Nico Williams can come away with some much needed points, which he's been lacking with over the last few game weeks. So there it is. That is my game week 5 team review. 76 points. I think that's quite decent. And it's given me green arrows. So once I get green arrows, I can't complain. And I'm not far off the top 10k. Just 83 points, which seems like loads right now. But it's only a few game weeks if I continually boost my score and continually get a green arrow. So I'm going to hope to improve on this score next time. There are a few changes I need to make, particularly with the Rodrigo injury. So watch this space for that one. And to know that, just subscribe. Press that bell so you know when my team selection video is coming out, so you can get an idea on how my team is going to look for game week number 6. Up there, join my league, okay? So just all those that watch this, just join that league. There's going to be loads of different people in there. Let's create a big community in there. We can have a bit of banter and we can talk about how I am doing in my own league. Imagine if I finish bottom. That's just like embarrassing. But anyways, like this video, comment below what your points was for game week number 5, and I will see you guys in the next one.